What is the craziest thing you have seen a teacher do? At my middle school, we had a vice principal who fancied herself a dictator. Any tiny bit of power she got was an issue. But I was a middle schooler at the time and a good kid, not often in trouble. So I didn't cross her path until 8th grade. Her friend was a bus driver named Pat. For 6th and 7th grade years, we had an awesome bus driver. He was nice to the kids, let us put the windows down when the Georgia heat got too much, etc. But he retired, and the bus driver we got was an extremely angry middle-aged woman named Pat who did not like children and made that clear every day. The windows stay up or we go back to the school. She would yell as she had the only fan blowing in her face on a 100-plus degree school bus. Ostensibly, this was to keep us from throwing things out of the bus, but that was never an issue before or after. The real reason was that before the bus driver could leave the bus at the end of the day, all the windows had to be back up and locked. So this saved her effort. My bus stop was the first she drove by, but the last to pick up and had been that way for years. Pat changed this and decided she only wanted to stop on the first pass by and kept threatening to leave the kids in my neighborhood if we made her stop twice. I first got on the Karen VP's radar because Pat left me on the side of a very busy road one morning. She could have stopped, but wagged her finger at me as she drove away and left me. I flipped off the kids, laughing at me out of the back window, but the bus driver, Pat, thought I was flipping her off. I didn't get suspended because she left me with no way to get to school on the side of an extremely busy road, and my mom threatened to sue if it happened again. But after that, they had it out for me. Pat tried several times to get me on anything. She even coached a kid to say I bullied him. But when the real principal brought in the kid, he said, "No, they are my friend. It was those other kids, and a bunch of other little things. Anything to get me in trouble." So the petty revenge comes in here. I was doing my best to make the bus driver's life hell in little passive-aggressive ways. She got annoyed at anything, so it was easy. But Karen was harder to do anything to. After fighting with the bus driver and the assistant principal for most of the year, revenge came in the form of a police fundraiser. They were advertising it on the local TV news and local radio stations. If you put someone up for arrest, the cops would show up and throw someone in handcuffs and put them in jail until they could call a few people and fundraise the bail. The person who set up the arrest had to pay like $10, but worth it. My mom, after being annoyed by Pat and Karen all year, put Karen, the assistant principal, up for arrest. The cops showed up and took her to the room where she could call her friends and raise the money for her to go. The idea was that Mom was going to keep having her arrested as long as she could, except no one would give her the bail money, not even for a charity. So she ended up missing most of a day sitting in the police precinct trying to get anyone to put up enough money for her to leave. Eventually, the cops told my mom that they had to let her go because it had gone on too long. She was the only one who didn't raise the bail money that day. Letting her know exactly how much she meant to everyone at the school felt great. I had a friend who heard her complaining about it later that day. She had called the principal, who did donate some, but the other teachers gave nothing, and none of her friends would help out. She apparently thought one of the teachers put her up for it. It's so minor and so petty it almost doesn't count. But when I left school at the end of the year, Mom went up and asked her, "How was jail?" before we walked away for the last time. First time I ever heard a ray sound from a human.